Alright guys, I found this video. I thought it was interesting, so I thought we'll take a look.
National Women's Day 2 years ago. Half women, half men, all around about the age of 15 and 16. And the boys basically hijacked it and started saying things like, it's harder to be a man than a woman now. The women are winning and the boys are losing.
Okay, what makes them think that?
Well, this is the content of the book, literally going through and seeing what the complaints are. And there's a whole chunky list of stats, which when you look at them a whole, makes you think there is a problem with men that we are not addressing. So boys are most likely to be medicated at school for disruptive behaviour. They're most likely to be excluded. They're least likely to go on to further education. They're more likely to become addicted to drugs, alcohol and pornography. They make up the majority of the prison population. They make up the majority of the homeless population. And suicide is still the leading cause of death for men under the age of 50. Now, although...
I mean, that's just facts, isn't it? Just part of life of being a man, though. I know I'm not the only one that's had suicidal thoughts in my life. I know plenty of friends that are male that are exactly the same.
Obviously, in recent years, there have been more emotional conversations with men. We've talked a bit about men's health. That's a stat that has not changed. And when you look at...
That's not changed, but that's because there's a difference between talking about it and there's a difference, like, and the other side is actually doing something. You can sit there and talk about men's mental health, but what's actually changed? Not much, especially for a lot of men. Like, for a lot of men, it's about action, it's not about talking. Men are people of action, and sitting there talking about their feelings isn't going to change the reality they're living in.
I've had people going, this is a generalisation that men don't talk about their emotions. I've got 10 builders
Oh, actually, let that bit finish.
in my house at the moment, all working class lads who've been listening to me on the radio talking about this stuff. And
I think that's a common misconception that men don't talk about their emotions. I think it's more about who men talk about their emotions with. I think men will talk about emotions with people that they feel safe with. I know that I have my area, which is mostly either my family, which is women. And I think the fact that I was raised by women helps a lot with this, because I'm sort of told by them to, discuss my emotions. And then other people I discuss it with will be my male friends. Because, well, we're in it together, aren't we?
And one of them just came up to me and went, yeah, I've got 5 friends who've committed suicide. I'm 25. They're all men. And one of them committed suicide after he'd broken up with his girlfriend.
I think that's something that I can attest to. So, in terms of friends, I've not had any friends that have killed themselves, thankfully. But I'd say 3 out of my 4 best friends, all of them have wanted to kill themselves. All of them have wanted to hurt themselves. All of them have had these bad feelings in life. And that is a reality for men. I'm lucky to not had much experience with it in terms of my close friends, but I have experienced the other side of it as well. Last year I went to the funeral of my sister's cousin, who I had grown up with for many years of my life, who she'd grown up with for many years of her life, who killed themselves, and he was young. It would have been his birthday last week, and it's life lost, and it's sad, and it is a truthful reality for men.
Have you begun to think that those young boys who spoke to you a couple of years ago and said it's actually tougher to be us than to be a girl, do you think they're right?
Well, the thing I enjoyed most is going...
I disagree with that. I think we're all human. We all have our own stuff to deal with. I think the issue is that we have so much going on in this world, so many issues, so many things that we're trying to solve, so many things that we want to sort out, so many things we want to fix, is that we kind of come lost in the fact that we are all human. There's genders, there's the world's issues, politics, there's everything going on, a million things that people are trying to change at once. And I think it kind of some stuff just gets lost through the cracks. And there's some stuff that just isn't fixable. And it's too much to expect from society to fix it instantly. I mean, it might not be fixable.
A kind of like a big old mum and going, here are the things you're right to be worried about, and in these I think I give 8 reasons where it is harder to be a boy or a man than a woman now. But I'm also...
I'd also like to say is, like, each gender has their own challenges. People like to kind of pretend nowadays that men and women can be equal, but they can't. Each has their own unique benefits, their own unique downfalls, and it's just life. and what it's about is about being there for each other about it.
Be strict about going, look, this is what you need to understand about sex, this is what you need to understand about rape, this is what you need to understand about strangulation, this is what you need to understand about female fear. So I very much see this as an extension of my feminism, because if half of all women and girls' problems is men, angry men, abusive men, scared men, confused men, and you can't fix the girls until you fix the boys. So I genuinely believe that the next part of feminism is showing this resource that we've invented, which is talking about gender, which we've used to talk about women. We now need to use it to talk about men and fix them alongside the girls.
Why?
The issue with this is that feminism does create a gap. It creates a gap between people because of the word and the way that, as well, in society at the moment, there's a lot of conflict between feminism and the world and the way that people view feminism. Some people view it good, some people view it bad, some people don't care, and it's kind of... But I agree with what she's saying, is that, like, you know, the way you fix one is to fix the other, and that's because that's how it works to be human. That's the important part of it, is that, like, both sides are human, and men and women coexist, all humans coexist, and we have to help fix each other's problems. You can't just leave society to it.
Why isn't there a man who's you writing a book that's this?
I know. I literally sat there for 10 years absolutely expecting that there would be. But that's why half of the book is aimed towards mums who will want to show chapters to their teenage
But
sons.
why don't...
Well, there you go, that is it. Well, first of all, why is a man not going to talk about this? Well, because men don't talk about their emotions. In general, we don't. Why would we? A lot of us get shamed for it. One of the good examples in a relationship, people will sit there and say, you need to be emotional with your wife, but then a lot of men in a relationship will open their emotions to their partner, and it'll get used against them, and it'll get thrown back at them, and they'll be made to feel bad about them. So men as a society, if you just took men into a context on its own, just like on its own, it's... I don't know what the best word to say for it is, really. It's just like it's kind of like a closed gate community where it's sort of like in silence we all sort of follow a certain set of rules. And the reason the man isn't going to write this book is because also, though, that, you know, which is obvious, that it, like, this is a female looking in. This is a female looking in at these societal issues from a men's perspective. And sometimes the best chance that you have of realising a problem is by having an outside perspective, because that's the way the problems work. It takes someone to walk into a room and go, this isn't right, for it to be fixed sometimes.
Dads care.
It's not
as
that
much.
they don't care. It's
Why don't dads care as much? Dads have a different role. Dads' roles are not to care. The dad's role is to make a good man. To make a man that isn't going to hurt a woman. To make a man who is going to grow up and be an integral part of society. To be successful. To be able to raise a family. To be a stonewall in their community, in their family. To be that cornerstone, that rock. It's not to be emotional. That's not the role that you're taught. It's just not. And then also, that's not taken to the fact that, you know, say someone like me who'd never seen their dad because he went for milk and never came back. You know, sometimes there's just not a dad there at all.
It's just that culture of fatherhood, it just like, and of men talking, just isn't there. Like,
That's
you
what I
know,
was
the
saying.
conversation we had before about sort of, you know, women talking to their daughters about being proud of their bodies. How would a dad start a conversation with a teenage boy about, you know, his genitals and being proud of them in the way that mums do with their girls now? It would just seem, even saying it now, it sounds unthinkable and mad.
Well, that's because it is mad. Let's look at it from the point of view of males looking at females who do such practice. So, you know, I'm a big advocate for body positivity. I think everyone has something beautiful inside them, everything. And there's always going to be someone out there who will appreciate that side of you. But I think when men look at women, I think one of the things we spend a lot of time doing when we look at women is kind of, I won't say in shock, but like we just kind of look and go, I listen to you talk about your body. I listen to you talk about this problem. Women to themselves are not body positivity. To each other, they are body positive. But to us, when we sit down and listen to them and go, "You're beautiful anyway," like so, and we can be like, "It's true. It's like, you know, we look at our partners and we go, you're beautiful, I'm in love with you. Like, why do you hate your body so much? So we're all there for body positivity because we want you to be body positive. Men, body positivity isn't much of a thing overall in general. Like, it is on a humanity base. Like, humans, yes, we look at each other's body, we, you know, prejudge, we call each other names and etc. But that's on the extreme end. And then let's also talk about the fact that then you take a man in society into a room and he's talking with a child about being proud about your body and being proud of his genitalia and stuff like that. Many men are just gonna go, well, that shit is gay or that shit's creepy. They are. Like, that's what they're gonna do. Like, I'm not saying it's right, I'm saying that that's the case. Like, and I think that's because men and women are different and we react to things differently. We act differently. And I don't know if it will change. But obviously having conversations like this can help it.
But it was equally unthinkable and mad for mothers and daughters in, say, 1997. So it is a cultural thing. You just need to find a new way of talking about it that makes everybody feel comfortable and also like they want to join that conversation. You know, the where I get worried about progress is where it's seen as a fibrous duty that you need to chew through in order to improve your life to be a good person. Changing your life for the better, changing your idea of boys and girls, making them more comfortable in their bodies and giving them pride and joy should feel like the best offer in the world.
I agree. I agree with what she's saying. I agree that opening a dialogue is important. I think the way that she's opened the dialogue and been very respectful about the dialogue has been very good. I think the way she talks, you can tell she comes from a place of caring. However, at the same time, she does come to a point of view of approaching this from, she went in with this perspective of, I'm a woman and this is women's problem. Then she sort of changed and gone, well, what about men's problems? And I get it. I get everything that she's trying to do. I understand that. I think one of the main issues we have is, though, the talking about things stuff. And one thing that needs to be discussed about with men is how much we get punished for talking about our problems. So, for example, if we were to sit there, for most of us, not for most, but for a lot of us, right, if we sit there and we open our hearts to someone, and to a woman, to someone we love, we're crying, we're being emotional, we're not controlling ourselves. For a lot of men, that results in a loss of respect. It results in a loss of respect, a loss of how people look at us. And it also gets used against us. I know from my own experience, I know from a lot of other males' experience, that we experience a lot of pushback when we actually open up about our true feelings, because it just gets used straight back at us. Like, you know, say we go to a woman and say, I have a problem with A, in a relationship, B, this is what I want us to do to fix it. Rather than that being a discussion of topics and this is what's wrong, what becomes is well, you did C, you did D, and you did E, and you did this, and you did that. And it deteriorates because there's no actual conversation to be had, because we try to start a dialogue. But instead we get it thrown back in our face a lot.
But it's something that I've often wondered about, actually, is you wonder why men don't fantasize about being able to give birth.
Right.
Because
I don't understand fully, like, what that has to do with it. But at the same time, it's hard to want something. I know that some people do. I know some people will have what this woman's talking about here. But for a lot, it's hard to miss something that you don't have.
Because that is it's an incredible thing.
Yeah.
A female mega power.
Yeah.
But apparently it doesn't feature in male fantasies at all.
I looked through all the research. I asked everyone I knew. I was on social media asking, and like there was just this astonishingly weird silence. And in one of the previous books, I put that I think all the plots of superhero movies are actually male appropriation of the female story, because those are all stories about teenage boys who suddenly their bodies go haywire and they're shooting webs, or they can, like, you know, they've got this extra strength, or they're there to save the world but they never get the credit, like Batman. That's mums. Like, suddenly we're shooting these weird substances out of our body, milk, and we've got these superpowers and strengths, we give birth, but we never get any credit for saving the world. And that's
okay. Okay, no, I get what they're saying. Initially I was like, no, it was just a creation. I can get why it mirrors the story, But I think what they're saying about superpowers and stuff more mirrors puberty on a personal level. Stuff shooting out of bodies, growing up. Most of these people that have powers tend to have stuff happen to them when they're children that affects them into adulthood. I feel like for me personally, that's where superheroes come from. But at the same time, life's an experience. So superheroes are based off either a person or an idea of the existence of a person. So therefore, I'm not going to go too deep into it because we're not here to talk about superheroes. We're here to talk about whether men or women have it worse. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I get the parallels, but I don't agree.
Before having kids, I never fantasized about giving birth or breastfeeding or any of those things. Did you? Am I just different?
You're an outlier, Fiona.
Really?
No.
Yeah, she is an outlier. I think a lot, not everyone, but a lot of women, they do fantasize about marriage. How many women do you know that have already predetermined their wedding day, that have already know exactly what dress they want? It doesn't matter who the man is, they already know what they want on that day. Having children, families, yeah, I think it is something that is fantasized. I think this woman is one of the percentage that isn't, obviously.
No, actually,
Do you know, my theory, for what it's worth, and this is going to sound absolutely crazy, is that I think sport was invented because men didn't give birth.
Really?
So, I mean, the recent fandango about cricket, for example, which has kept some, let's be honest,
Yes.
middle-aged, middle-class chaps talking for the
Frothing.
last 7 days.
Yes.
They have talked of nothing else. It's all over the Times.
Women love to talk about men loving sport. I'm gonna let it finish, but they do. It's like we are looked on a bit strange for the way that us men like sport.
If they had, I don't know, if they had the mega power to give birth, would they be that bothered about a dodgy out?
But that's the theory
in the
behind
ashes.
war as well, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And they brought in war at the end then. What I'll say is, in terms of like war and sport, the way I look at war and sport is that on a level, men, humans, we're primitive. I feel like as a society, my view is not we create things because men can't give birth, so therefore, no. I think we have war because that's what humans do. There's a million conflicting views. Billions of humans means billions of different ideas, billions of different lives lived. Every life is their own and is their truth to them. However, things like sport give a chance for humans to not only... Sport gives humans a chance to not only keep their primitiveness but also celebrate it. This combat with other humans, this drive to be better, to be the best, to be superior, to be the alpha. And that's for me what sport is. But overall, it is a good video. The full video is a lot longer. I'll tag this video and I'll tag the full video in the description if you want to watch it. Give me your opinions as well. In terms of the title, which says, do men or women have it worse? My answer is, we both have stuff to deal with. We all have stuff to deal with. Not just the two genders. Everyone, every human. People that don't conform, people that do conform. Every life individual is different. All 7.5 billion or whatever it is, whatever the human population is now, all of us are different. And that's all that has to be said. We all have it bad. Some have it worse than others. And we need to work together to fix it.